Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this meeting of the Licensing and Regulatory Committee. For people who are looking in, I'll introduce myself. I'm Brian Strong. I'm chairman of this committee, and we'll go around the room to let people know who the others are. To my left.
Yeah, I'm Jim Higginson. I'm vice chairman of this committee.
Good morning.
Richard Williams, Democratic Services.
Lynn Jo Gorman, Principal Licensing Officer.
Lee Beach, Licensing Officer.
Taylor Watts, Licensing Officer.
Jane Pratt, Member for Gilwyn, Clydach and Llanelli Hill and Member of this committee.
Councillor Richard Roden, Member of this committee.
Councillor Reverend Malcolm Lane, Member of this committee and a Member for Mardy Abergavenny.
Good morning, Councillor Jamie Trahan of Overmono, Member of this committee.
Good morning, Councillor Dave Evans, Member of this committee.
Good morning, County Councillor Ruth Edwards, elected member for Lentilio Cresceni and also a member of this committee.
Councillor Tony.
Thank you all very much. Right, we'll go through the agenda. Do we have any apologies, Richard?
No apologies, Chair.
Thank you. Declarations of interest, as and when? Right. To confirm them and sign the minutes of the previous meeting. I wasn't at that meeting, but...
Move, Chair.
Move, okay. Thank you. And item 4 on the agenda is to review the annual licensing fees for the year 2019-20. I think Linda O'Gorman's leading this.
Yes, I'll start with the first report. This report is to assess the licensing fees for the financial year 2019-2020. If I can refer to 3.1 of the report, which highlights the number of fees that we'll be looking at. We include a number of licensed premises, taxis, hackney carriage, gambling, street trading, street collection, scrap metal dealers. While some licensing fees are set by government, others are locally set at the discretion of the authority. So that's the focus of this report today, is the ones that we can actually set at the discretion of the authority. It has to be based on cost recovery, and the manner it has to be done in such a manner as to generate a profit or act as an economic deterrent to traders. So in order to calculate the fees itself, it's an in-depth calculation which is referred to in 3.4, which is the approved calculations done through the Licensing Expert Panel of Wales. It's quite an in-depth assessment that is carried out, looking at all elements that's been done for the previous year. So in accordance with Section 70 of the Local Government Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1976, the authority is obliged to give notice of any intention to vary the fees for the grant of licences for hackney carriage and private hire vehicles. So what that basically means is if the fee is approved today, a legal notice will actually be displayed in the paper stating what the fees will be. With regards to the Gambling Act fees, they have to be assessed on the 21st of May of each year, so they will actually be looked at the next meeting, which will be on the 19th of February 2019 for gambling fees. So Appendix 8A of this report actually gives a breakdown of the fee assessment for the new financial year. So the report, the recommendation is to look at those fees and see if you're happy for the approval of the fees and any questions.
Thank you, Linda. Do any members want to have any questions on this? Councillor Easton.
Just one question. How many collectors' licences do we have in Monmouthshire?
I'd have to run a report on that. There's not a massive amount of collectors. There is 2 sites I know of, but I'd have to do a quick sort of run a report on that, but it literally is a handful of them, really. So I would say an average between 10 and 15, but I could check that for you. Okay, if I can clarify, with regards to collectors, if they collect in the Monmouthshire area, they have to be licensed within Monmouthshire. And so if they then go on to another authority, they have to be licensed with that authority. They don't have to necessarily be based in the authority. They can travel from authority to authority, but they would need a collector's license in each one.
No other questions? Just one comment. The slight increase in fees, that's sufficient to cover the costs, you think, Linda?
It is. It's quite an in-depth assessment. We look at a number of things, how many meetings, how many inspections, how many went to committee, how many applications we've got, how many we actually hold on the books. So it's quite an in-depth sort of breakdown that you would actually look at, thoroughly through the year.
Okay, well, there are two recommendations. 2.1 is to approve the fees. 2.2 is any objections. Well, I don't see any objections, really, so can we have your vote on that? All in favour of accepting 2.1? Thank you very much.
I go to Councillor Lisa, just did a quick report run. We've actually got 4 collectors, so it's been over-optimistic on saying 10, but we have actually got 4 collectors for this area. Okay.
Okay, item 5 on the agenda is to consider whether to exclude the press and public from the meeting during consideration of the next 2 items. Could I have a...
Chair.
Thank you very much. All in favour? Thank you.